This article predicts Texas A&M is going to have some major upsets on the docket during the 2025 season.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. On the show today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk a little bit about the baseball team and their projection for the postseason, talk about what kind of needs to happen down the stretch to improve on where they are. The basketball team, of course, the addition of Ryland Griffin, we talked about it yesterday, big time get. You lose Duke Miles. When it comes to getting Ryland Griffin, I don't care who you lost because he's a stud, and that's a great addition. But we'll talk about what else this team needs in the portal. But we're going to get things kicked off starting to talk a little bit about an article from Aggies Wire that predicted the record for every SEC team, including Texas A&M. And there were some mega upsets on this article. Some I agree with. Some I disagree with. So they project Texas A&M to go 9-3 overall, 6-3 in SEC play, which of course would be an improvement over last season where the Aggies went 8-5 with 8-4 in the regular season. The bowl game lost to USC. The number one upset on this list to me that came as a bit of a surprise was that the Aggies are projected to lose to the Florida Gators. Now, Florida being a team that Texas A&M went to the Swamp last year and dominated in this football game, start to finish. And who was quarterback in the Aggies in that game? It was Marcel Reed. So I'm a little surprised that this is a projected loss on the schedule for the Aggies. But at the same time, and those of you everydayers here at Locked On Aggies know that I am a big believer in DJ Lagway. I think that he's going to be a number one overall pick in the future. I think that he's going to be a Heisman Trophy winner at some point in his career. Is it going to be this year, his sophomore year, or his junior year? I'm not sure. If I'm a Texas A&M fan, I'd prefer it to be his junior year. But they're going to be coming to Kyle Field. This surprises me. And I'm not saying that it's not possible. I mean, yeah, I think that Florida's going to overachieve this year. I think they're going to be really good. I think that and I think a lot of that is due to DJ Lagway and what he brings to this Florida Gator football program. He's just going to be a star player. But, I mean, they've got a solid roster, but there's definitely some questions surrounding how good DJ Lagway is. And, I mean, surrounding the rest of this roster. We know how good DJ Lagway is. We know how good he can be. But are we just basing projections off DJ Lagway? That's my concern for the folks that are in on Florida. And I'm one of those folks. In all honesty, I believe in this Florida team. Do I believe they're going to come to Kyle Field and beat the Aggies? Not right now, I don't. But it's a game that definitely, when we get closer to the start of the 2024-2025 season for the Aggies, I'm going to have some concerns about, and we'll talk about that when we get deeper in the offseason. But the other upset that this projected was for the Aggies to beat the Texas Longhorns. And I'll tell you this, I do not have a ton of confidence in the Aggies going to Austin and beating the Longhorns. Now, and as y'all know, there's a lot of Texas fans that listen to Locked On Aggies on a daily basis. And to the Texas fans, I want to say this. And I'm not bought in on Arch Manning yet. And when I want to explain that before literally a riot starts. He has a lot still to prove to me. You know, I think that I've said this time and time again. If Arch Manning's last name was Smith or Johnson or not Manning, I think that he's listed as the 5th, 6th best quarterback in the SEC heading into the season. And people would be saying that Smith kid is pretty good. He was great out of high school, but he's still got a lot to prove. We've seen flashes. He's played here and there last year when Quinn Ewers was out some games, and he came in and had some packages to run the football, but he's still got to prove it. And I think that prove it because his last name is Manning has gone away. And I'm kind of asking you Texas fans to see where I'm coming from on that. Do I think Arch Manning's going to be good? Yeah, I think he's going to be really good. I think he's going to be a top 10 quarterback in college football, potentially top 5. I think he's going to be in the Heisman race the whole year. Yes, I think Arch Manning's going to be a stud this year, but he's still got to prove it is what I'm saying. I don't, we don't have a ton to base that off of. And I think that we're all a little bit, blindsided by the fact that he is related to some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL history. So, that's my take on Arch Manning. But no, I don't think Texas A&M is going to go beat the Longhorns in Austin. I mean, nothing would bring me more joy right now than coming on this podcast right now to y'all and saying, yeah, for sure, Texas A&M is going to go to Austin and beat the crap out of the Longhorns. I would love to sit here and tell that to y'all right now, but I just don't know how anybody has any kind of confidence in that being, reality. Could it happen? Of course it could happen. Of course they could happen. It's college football. Texas A&M is a very good team, a team that is capable of going and beating anybody on any given night, even on their home field. But I just think this is going to be a tough game to win in Austin. Obviously, the Lone Star Showdown was brought back last year. The Longhorns come and win in Kyle Field. Now you got to go to Austin and play the Longhorns. I just don't have a ton of confidence in this. When it comes to the other 2 losses for the Aggies, other than Florida, this article from Aggies Wire has Notre Dame and LSU listed. Going to beat Notre Dame in South Bend is going to be tough. Going to beat LSU in Baton Rouge is always tough. Baton Rouge is a place Texas A&M has done some good things over the years for sure. But another guy that I'm bought in on is Nussmeier. I think that he's going to have a really good season. I think this might be the year for LSU where they kind of get over that hump under Brian Kelly. There's been some constant disappointment under him, some, high expectations, and they haven't met them. So I think this is going to be a tough game for the Aggies to go on the road in Baton Rouge and win. I feel pretty confident about that. I mean, it's just a tough place to play, and I know the Aggies have done well, but it's a tough place to go play. Notre Dame, is a team next year that, once again, I think they're going to be very good. I don't know. I think that they have a great coach, and I think it's going to be a tough game to go in on the road. So I agree with this. If you were going to project right now, I'm projecting Texas A&M to go 8-4. I think that they're going to lose to Texas and then lose to one of those teams, Florida, South Carolina, Auburn, one of maybe, or you could mix, honestly, Arkansas in there. I think they lose one of those games. That's my projection right now. But yes, this team's capable of going 9-3, potentially 10-2. So the wins listed here are UTSA, Utah State, Auburn, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Missouri, South Carolina, Samford, and Texas. The losses, of course, being Notre Dame, Florida, and LSU. So, I think it's funny because, it would be a lot easier to flip Texas and Florida, and this would be, pretty chalk. You're going to lose at Notre Dame, at Florida, at LSU, and at Texas. And then you take care of business at your home games against Auburn and against Florida and South Carolina and Mississippi State. And then you go beat Arkansas. First time it's no longer at the Cowboys field. You got to go play them in Fayetteville. I think that'd be pretty chalk. And I think pretty realistic. I've talked about it. I do think that it's going to be tough to win all those games between those teams that I think are all going to take steps forwards in Auburn, South Carolina, Mississippi State. I think Green's a great quarterback over at Arkansas, and I think that makes them dangerous because on any given night, he can have a great game and beat you. But I was surprised by some of these upset picks, I'll say, to say the least. I was very surprised by that. There were a lot of players here that, there were a lot of surprises to me on this list. There were a lot of game projections that really did surprise me with the Florida and the Texas. But both of those could happen, but I think it would be a bit bold. Basketball team has some more needs in the transfer portal. And I'll tell you what those are coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I got to tell you about our wonderful friends over at FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments, whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player. There's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. There's a lot of fun things to bet on right now. Which players are showing up in big moments, and how could tracking their trends help you build the next bet? How could a $200 bonus in bets add to the excitement if your first $5 bet hits? New to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet, and if it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. So the basketball team, we talked about the addition of Rylan Griffin yesterday, a mega addition. I've talked about what I think he brings to this team. I think that he's a guy, once again, I don't think he was a great system fit over at Kansas, which is funny because when he first went over there, I thought he would be. And then, watching the way they played through Hunter Dickinson, it was very clear, this is just not built for Rylan Griffin. Now, an offense that is built for Rylan Griffin was that of Nate Oates. Nate Oates' offense is fast, and they like to shoot a lot of threes. Bucky McMillan is fast and likes to shoot a lot of threes. I think this is going to be a match made in heaven for Rylan Griffin to come and play in this offense. Truly, I think that he is going to have a spectacular season. I think he could lead this team in scoring. I think he could be an all-SEC first-team type of player. He's going to be I'll tell you this right now. Rylan Griffin will be an all-SEC performer next season. I personally don't think that's even bold. I don't. I think that because, all he's got to do is average 12 or 13 points, a handful of rebounds, a couple assists, couple rebounds, shoot 40% from three. He's capable of doing all those things. I don't think that's even bold. I think it's bold to say he'll be first team. But I'm going to make that prediction right now. I think that he has that upside to be a first-team all-SEC performer in this offense. He's a great basketball player. I think folks are looking at him kind of as, as we've talked about it, damaged goods, because he went over to Kansas and it just didn't pan out like many would have imagined it would. So now I think that it is going to pan out for Rylan Griffin at Texas A&M, which is really exciting to know. And then, your other additions, I think Federico, the Texas Tech big guy transfer, I think he starts for you right now. I think your starters are Rylan Griffin, Federico, Marcus Hill, Mackenzie Mbako, and probably Jakari Lane. I guess Jakari Lane plays your one, then Hill plays your two. So Lane at your one, Hill at your two, Griffin at your three, and then Mackenzie Mbako at your four, and Federico at your five. And I'll tell you this right now, I think that this is going to be it's gonna be a lineup right there that is capable of winning basketball games in the SEC. And that's what is great to know. They have this lineup has the ability to win, to go over 500 in SEC play. And I believe that, when you look at this, when you sit and you look at this basketball team, to me, it's very clear that they have enough players to compete in year one. And that was the concern. The concern with the addition of Bucky McMillan, and I talked about this, I voiced this, was he going to be able to put together a good enough team in year one for this basketball team to, be solid in the great SEC and make the tournament? And I had my fair share of concerns about that a few weeks ago. And now that I've seen this roster, that starting five right there is a solid starting five. Is it the best in the SEC? No. But I think it's middle of the road. And middle of the road in the SEC, as we saw last year, made the NCAA tournament. And honestly, some of them, Ole Miss, I think is a great example, made runs in the tournament. So I think that is stuff that's why I think this team can be successful. So, I mean, you've got those guys. Then your backups, I think that Holloway is going to come off the bench as one of your guards, Josh Holloway. Jamie Vincent's going to come off the bench as like your backup center. Clements is going to be a backup power forward. Like, I think all these guys are going to have a role for sure on the roster. So to me, you need a couple more guards. I think you need a couple more guards in the transfer portal. Just some guys that have some experience, can pass the ball, can shoot a little bit. We're not asking for world beaters. We're not asking for the best players in the world, because you're kind of getting to that point in the transfer portal where I just don't think that those guys are really there right now. You just don't have a lot of those dominant, guards, bigs in the portal. We're kind of there's great players in the portal still, but we're kind of getting to this point where it's starting to thin out, and good players are going to be harder and harder to come by. But there still are some solid options in the portal to finish this roster. And I mean, I think that's really what you need here. I think a guard and a couple more guards. I mean, I think in the big, you've got four, I would say maybe two guards and one big. And I feel pretty good about this roster. And I mean, the only thing I don't know is that means like Zach Clements, a guy that played at Kansas that didn't have a massive role there. Is he a guy that you just want on the end of your bench to, or is he a legitimate player on this team? And that's what I don't know. That's what we're going to figure out soon. So I think that the staff, once again, if you go get two guards and one big, I think that this roster is good. And if you get three more solid additions, they're good pieces. I believe this Texas A&M basketball team in year one under Bucky McMillan is going to be able to make the NCAA tournament. Do I think they're going to make the Sweet 16? No. Do I think they're going to win a national championship? No. Do I think they're going to win the SEC or the SEC tournament? I don't. But I think that they, in year one, can be competitive. And why that's so important, you've got to put that good film on tape. You put that film on tape in year one, and then you're kind of able to prove, okay, we have a roster, and we'll look what we did with this team here. You come here, you're a great player in the portal. Come here, play for me. Let's take this to the next level. I think 1 year of good tape for Bucky McMillan with this type of roster, and he's going to be able to have his pick of the litter in the transfer portal. That's just the reality. I mean, is he going to get the top end guys always? I'm not so sure about that, but he's going to get good enough players to make runs in the NCAA tournament. So yeah, I'm fired up about the future of Bucky McMillan as the head coach of the Texas A&M basketball team. Got a new projection for the field for the NCAA baseball tournament. We'll talk about where the Aggies are and what they need to do to improve that. And we'll talk their ranking and how they can maybe be a higher seed. We'll talk about it coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, don't forget about our friends over at Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives business flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. If you need help with the marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivers incredible results. Posting a job is free and simple, and within a day, you'll get multiple qualified candidates to choose from. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today. So I saw a recent, like I said, projection of the field for the NCAA baseball tournament. We've got that pulled up here, and right now it has the Aggies as the 3 seed it would be Corvallis in the Oregon State bracket. Of course, Oregon State being a team that has had some success, has won championships, has been really good, has produced some MLB players, and Stephen Kwan and who's the catcher for the Orioles? I'm blanking on his name. Adley Rutschman. Man, I about lost it there. Produced some great talent. Great place. Fun place for a regional. Cool area. A lot of great baseball fans up there. The 2 seed in this bracket is the Miami Hurricanes, and the 4 seed is San Diego. And I think when you look at this regional, I do believe that is one that this team can get out of. I definitely can see that happening. I think that the Aggies could get out of this regional. I don't think it would be easy. I think Oregon State is a very good baseball team. I think Miami is a pretty darn good baseball team. But at the end of the day, I've talked about it. Yes, Oregon State, great program. There are some really solid teams that are hosting. NC State's a great baseball team. UC Irvine's a great baseball team. West Virginia is a great baseball team. There are a lot of really, really good baseball teams in this field right here. But at the same time, I've talked about how good the SEC is in baseball. The SEC in baseball is a force, an absolute force. And I mean, for example, okay, we got here hosting Arkansas, Auburn, Tennessee, LSU, Georgia, Texas, Vandy, Alabama. So right now, 8 of the 16 host sites are SEC schools. And what I'm saying is you're going to play a good Miami team and a good Oregon State team if you do get into that regional. But you're the SEC team. You've played the best teams all year long. This is a region that the Aggies would be capable of winning. And then I think I'm trying to do mental math here. If you won that, wouldn't that put you again? What seed would that put you against? 16 goes against the 1, 2, 15, 3, 14, 4, 13, 5, 12, 6, 11, 7, 10. So that would put you playing in the Clemson regional if you get out of your regional. So that is going to be very interesting to see what ends up happening there. But I mean, I think this is a very solid matchup for the Aggies if they were able to get this. And if you want to improve to a 2 seed, I think this is going to be a big weekend when it comes to playing Missouri. I think if you sweep Missouri, then you put yourself in a position where I think honestly, I don't know what number would get Texas A&M to be in a 2 seed. You probably have to sweep Missouri and win the series over Georgia on the road, which is not going to be easy to do. I mean, Georgia is listed here. What are they in this? They're a top 5 seed. Yeah, they're number 5 seed. So not going to be easy to do, go beat them on a series on the road, but the Aggies have won big series on the road this year. So we'll see what happens. If they go 5-1 in these last 6 SEC games, I believe there is a chance that at 15-15 in SEC play, they could get to be a 2 seed, but I think that'd be tough. I think 3 seeds very realistic, and I think that they can win a region wherever they are if that's the case. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Aggies. Thank y'all so much for being here. Hope y'all have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Aggies.